Hi Year 12. Hopefully you've all finished the content for Unit 5 as we now need to move on to Unit 2. Our exam is going to be in February 2021. It is really important that we start back on this now so that we are prepared for when we go back, because I don't want you losing the content knowledge. I've put this PowerPoint together to remind you of the exam layout and content for this unit. Each week you'll get given 1 or 2 PowerPoints, a worksheet, exam questions and a quiz. Each week I need you to email me your worksheet and to state that you've listened to the PowerPoint that I place on YouTube. I really hope this helps. I am missing the class and it's nice to actually get on and speak, even though you can't talk back to me, to chat away to you. So going back to the Unit 2 exam, the key is Magic 4. In the exam there are 4 sections for Learning Aim A, B, C and D. There are 4 scenarios, 1 per section, and there are 4 questions per section. So it's quite predictable, and it's been very predictable in the past. There are 4 questions per section. 1 is identify, which is 2 marks, 1 is describe, which is 4 marks, 1 is explain, which is 6 marks, and 1 is discuss, which is 8 marks. So if you look at here, you can see that it's split A, B, C, D, new scenario, 4 questions, same order. Section B, new scenario, 4 questions, same order. Now they have started to increase some of the, they've started to drop some of the identifiers and increase the discuss to 10 marks or even 12 marks in some cases. When you get to each section of the exam paper, either Learning Aim A, B, C or D, each section has one type of special needs that they will choose for a scenario. So for example, it could be ill health, physical, ill health, mental issues, learning difficulties, physical or sensory difficulties, care of the elderly and care of the early years. All questions can relate to Learning Aims A, B and or C. Just a reminder, whilst we're talking about the exam paper, that when you are answering any questions, because I will be putting exam questions for you to attempt, that you don't actually need to repeat the question at the beginning. There is not time for that. This is a really quick paper. You will start it and in the blink of an eye it will be finished, so you do not have time to repeat the question. There is no need for an introduction unless it's asking you for a definition of a keyword. And there is no need for a conclusion unless you are working on an evaluate, question or assess or justify, which are your higher marked questions. Just a quick reminder of what can occur in section A. This focuses on ill health, so roles and responsibilities. of who looks after and supports people with various illnesses and mental ill health. So you must be aware of the roles and responsibilities of people like nurses, doctors, midwives, paediatric nurses. Care values that might be applied, help and support in a home, so different types of domiciliary care or different types of resources to support people, such as stair lifts, lowered work surfaces. You need to be aware of lone working policies. You need to be aware of safeguarding, how service providers can maintain good working practices, palliative end-of-life care, voluntary organisations and their features, and who are settings regulated and regulated by, and discuss why we need to have these regulations in place. So that all fulfills the Section A criteria. Section B tends to focus on learning disability and understand how people with different learning needs can remain independent, how you could empower them. You need to know about advocates, what their roles are, managers and carers, how they keep residents and visitors safe. You need to look at risk assessments. You need to look at social workers' roles and responsibilities, how people can complain and the complaints procedures that should be in place in health and social care settings. Inspections of social care settings, so the CQC, Ofsted, depending on where we're looking at. Adapting provision for people with learning needs, how people with learning needs can be assessed. Advantages and disadvantages of people being in residential care, so we're talking about the elderly and those with special needs. Then you need to know about the Data Protection Act and ways in which discrimination can be prevented. Section C tends to focus on somebody with a physical or sensory disability and how people can be supported who have these sensory and physical impairments. Again, you need to know about the data protection, barriers that people may face accessing services, organisations that inspect and regulate, charities and how they can support people, occupational therapists and how they can support, how people can be empowered, holistic approach to care and its advantages, care that can occur in a home, so domiciliary care, and the benefits of domiciliary care over care that can be provided in a hospital setting. Why it's important to help people maintain their independence, especially those that are at home. Who are regulated by the HCPC, so the Health and Care Professional Council. What is a DBS, or the old CRB, and its purpose. Safeguarding Children's Board, discuss how you can keep children safe, and what are the national occupational standards. These are all the type of things that have come up in Section C. Aspects that have come up in Section D tend to be age-related needs, so the young, very young, or the elderly. Human Rights Act, professional skills required, roles as a healthcare assistant, multidisciplinary team working, multi-agency team working, the advantages and disadvantages. This is why it was so important to cover the content for Unit 5, as we need this for Unit 2. How older people can be vulnerable. How can support mechanisms like a call bell help people at night in a care home, or if they need, if they're panicked or anxious. Whistleblowing, what is it? Why is it important? Complaints procedures, responsibilities as a care assistant, 2 roles carried out by a midwife, professional skills, care planning cycle, again, this is in Unit 5. Policies and procedures, what's different, how can they protect you, rights you have. As a manager, how are you accountable to professional bodies, local authority needs and assessment? These may just refresh your memories of what is and what has come up and what is expected in sections A, B, C and D. If you could now move to the next PowerPoint, where I have put some refresher Unit 2 work so that we can prepare for exam questions.